Hi, everybody. It, I always say this, it has been too long, I think, since I made a video. Uh, Life has been really hectic, and not, not necessarily for the better, not always for the worse, but things have been a little hectic and crazy in the personal life, and it's made it hard to find the time to sit and do a video. But I've really been itching to do one for a while. And this one I'm excited about because I've wanted to do this for so long. And I'm pretty sure people have asked me about doing this one before, and I've given all kinds of explanations about it. Um, tonight, who knows when I'm going to upload this and when you're going to watch it. Uh, it's Friday, July 12th when I'm recording this. And most Friday nights, I do Friday Night Live. I play my, you know, I, a lot of it is going back and revisiting favorite live albums. It's kind of a feel good night. I saw a meme recently that said the night before a day off is better than the actual day off itself. Friday night is the peak of the weekend to me because, just got done with the work week. We had a 4-day weekend last week because of the holiday. And so this week, boy, it was long. It seemed to really drag. And so anyway, here I am in the man layer downstairs here. I am finally going to talk to you about Live Full House by the Geils Band. It's my favorite live record of all time. I I will make a case that I think it's the best live rock and roll album of all time. You agree, you disagree, whatever. I think even I don't know if anybody has agreed with me that it's the absolute best. But most people I talk to, at least who have heard it, say it's a great live record. And if you're watching this, you've probably listened to it. If you haven't listened to it, I hope my enthusiasm bubbles over. I hope it's like a wellspring that comes out, and you go and check out this album because this was by really a criminally overlooked live album or a criminally overlooked live act. The Jay Giles Band was a fantastic band. Um, I I did something I don't normally do these days, and you'd think I wouldn't need this for an album that I know so well, but it's more about the background. So the Jay Giles Band was roughly formed in 1967 in Worcester, Massachusetts. Several of the band members were at the local Polytechnic Institute down there, including namesake and band leader, guitarist John Warren, Jay Giles. Um, I think, depending on what research I did, they might have the infancy might have been a little bit earlier than this, but when the band solidified, it was a six-piece band. Jay Giles on guitar, Peter Blankenfeld, known better by his DJ nickname, Peter Wolf. He was a local rhythm and blues DJ in Boston. He'd originally come, I think, from New York. Danny Klein on bass, Richard Salwitz, aka Magic Dick, on the harmonica. He would later play uh, saxophone on some of the recordings, but he was strictly mouth harp at this point. Seth Justman on keyboards and Stephen Joe Blatt on drums. Each of these guys was just a fantastic player, rooted in great early rock and roll and rhythm and blues. I count, as a vocalist, that's an instrument. Singing is using your voice as an instrument. Peter Wolf was one of the great hawkers, stage banterers of his time. Probably still is. He still tours from time to time. Um, the band would sign with Atlantic Records. They released their self-titled album in 1970, simply called the Jay Giles Band. So there you go. And they would pick up the momentum with their second record, 1971, called The Morning After. Now, why everybody except Peter Wolf has pants on? I don't know. Probably a tidbit of trivia best lost to history. And so these were made up of originals and uh, amped up blues and rhythm and blues covers. And they did excellent. The sound on these records is good, not great. And, everybody knows, not everybody, the general public seems to know Jay Giles for the end of their career, from Love Stinks through, the original end. They would reunite many times over the years, but never record another album after the early 80s. They know Centerfold, Love Stinks, um, Freeze Frame, that kind of stuff. I hope none of the band members ever watch this, because I would feel bad. I can't stand that music. I could not get into Jay Giles' band for the longest time, because that's all I knew. And then my dad, who was really instrumental in forming my musical tastes and introducing me to music, and he's responsible for the obsession that I have. Uh, he had both the CD and the record of their second live album called Blow Your Face Out, which was recorded in both Detroit, Michigan, and Boston. Um, Live Full House. I've maybe mistakenly called it Full House Live all these years. Um, was recorded April 21st and 22nd, 1972, at the Cinderella Ballroom in Detroit, Michigan. That's sort of on the you take East Jefferson Avenue out of town for a few miles, and it's still, I think, in the city limits, but um, it was this majestic old theater, and unfortunately it's lost to the sands of time. And the corner of 13311 East Jefferson Avenue is an open field and a strip mall with a Coney dog place now. And don't get me wrong, Detroit's known for its Coney dogs, but my God, to lose that sort of historical significance. It was built in the 20s. It showed silent pictures, vaudeville, theater, all just, over the course of 50 some years. And then in the spring of 72, supported by Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show, a sort of outlaw country band, most famous for covering Shel Silverstein songs or having Shel write for them. Party came to the Motor City. And even though the boys were from Boston, and I might argue that they were the original Bad Boys from Boston before Aerosmith, uh, they considered Detroit their second home because they had such a huge following there. So they chose to record, and you, again, if you've seen this, if you're watching this, you probably have at least seen this. This is my, you notice it says USA first copy, and I'm going to get to that in a second. I don't remember what year I bought this. Um, it's not even held together anymore. The jacket is all but completely come apart. I bought it for $3 from a guy who was kind of shady, selling a bunch of records. But I picked it up just because I had heard Blow Your Face Out, and I really liked it. I didn't think much about this. I didn't play it for quite a while. And then when I did, I went, oh, there's something to this. This is just under 36 minutes of pure musical perfection right here. Rock and roll, rhythm and blues. 8 songs, 36 minutes. Here's the back cover. It's got great live shots of all the band members. Side 1, First I Look at the Purse. It's an old Motown song co-written by Smokey Robinson. Goes into the blues number Homework, which was written and originally recorded on Cobra recordings. I believe Cobra, by the great Otis Rush. Fantastic southpaw guitar player, soulful vocals. Then comes Pack Fair and Square, which is only a minute 41 on here, and part of that is taken up by Peter Wolf's introduction, and it has the greatest spoken word intro of any song I've ever heard, ever committed to tape. And I have played this when I've DJ'd down at the local one of the local breweries on vinyl night. I played this and I turned it up just a wee bit so folks could hear Peter Wolf say, this song used to be called Take Out Your False Teeth, Mama. I want to suck on your gums. And I never thought much about it until every single person I think I've ever played it for has been either horrified, disgusted, darkly entertained. I'm not sure. But it was originally done by Big Walter Price and his Thunderbirds. and it was a rhythm and blues song, sort of a jump blues song. Then they go into Whammer Jammer, and Peter Wolf does this fantastic sort of scat influenced intro, and then he says, "Whammer Jammer, let me hear you, Dickie," and Magic Dick launches into this blues based rock harmonica instrumental that would rival, and I will maintain this, it is as good as anything the great blues harmonica players have ever done. Little Walter, James Cotton, Junior Wells, Billy Branch, Big Walter Horton, um, to the modern day guys like Bob Corritor. Magic Dick can hold his own with anybody. He is. I'll throw hands and say that he's the best harmonica player in rock and roll. And then they do an original song called "Hard Driving Man." It was originally on, I can't remember which of these. Um, it was on the debut record. And so, anyway, and that closes out side one. And then side two is it opens with a 9.5 minute burner. A fantastic version of "Serves You Right to Suffer" by John Lee Hooker. And it is, they say that you take him to the south side of Chicago, Muddy Water style blues, but it's actually a John Lee Hooker song. Um, and there's another great line on here. Peter Wolf says, "On the lickin' stick, Mr. Magic Dick." And it's just like, where he came up with some of this stuff, I don't know, but he was and still is one of the great frontmen in rock and roll. I think he's 76 or 77 now. But he's a powerhouse, Peter Wolf. And then they go to "Cruisin' for a Love," which is written by the entire band under the pseudonym of Juke Joint Jimmy, and they close it out with the old R&B song "Looking for a Love," but it's not some uh, it's not some wimpy, watered down, saccharine song. It is hard driving. It comes to a false stop. They keep going. It's just pure energy. And this album, there's an energy here. I think, I don't know which critic wrote this for Rolling Stone magazine, but they wrote that this is an industrial strength live album. And I cannot argue. Every song on here is a 10 out of 10. The performances, the musicianship, the attitude. There's an attitude here. Back in the 60s and 70s, Detroit really was a rock and roll town. It's not so much anymore. Garage rock really came out of Detroit, and Motown and soul, and great. There was great blues in Detroit. John Lee Hooker spent a lot of time in Detroit, and so, anywho, I had this, and I started playing it in heavy rotation. I don't remember exactly when, but it was in the very early days of when COVID-19 shut the world down. And, we all remember what an incredibly weird, odd time that was. We couldn't see our friends. We weren't supposed to. I quarantined. I spent a lot of time in the man layer back then. And my friends and I started doing what we called social distance spinning. And so we would send pictures of what we were listening to each other via text message. And so I kind of stopped listening to a lot of sad music at the time. I still did some, because I like that stuff. But I focused on stuff that was a little more upbeat, a little happier, and this brought so much joy, and it became an every night spin. And then I actually paid on iTunes, I think. Back then, even 4 years ago, you could still purchase songs for $1.29 or whatever. I paid to download it and burn the CD. Now there's the old magic right there. You guys watching this channel probably know, but yet younger people, they probably have no idea what on earth I'm talking about. But I burned the CD and I played it in my car. And so I listened to this song at least once a day for months and months and months and months and months. And it became just a musical obsession. And being an obsessive collector, this copy, when I bought it, was really beat to tar. So I think it was June of 2020 when restrictions eased a little bit. Excuse me, I have to wet my whistle, and because it's Friday night, this is only the first one, but I'm having some Shinerbach beer, Texas beer, talking about Boston and Detroit music. Lancha. Um, the first time we could go out, a friend and I went record shopping and got lunch and donuts and coffee and stuff. I picked up an upgrade at a record store out in Grand Rapids, and so I thought, oh, that's kind of all right. I've got my next copy, and something started ruminating in my head. Not long after, I thought, I wonder how many other copies there are in different pressings because, especially during the shutdown, I was online all the time looking up different pressings of albums that I have and were they originals, were they represses, etc., etc. And so these two actually have they're American pressings, but they're different pressings. Um, so this is I wrote on here USA first copy and then USA. So here's my upgrade, and then then the collecting started. And I used to remember which order I had bought everything. I ended up getting on Discogs and going completely hog wild. And I was up in Traverse City, Michigan at RPM Records. I actually bought a third copy because I wasn't sure if it was a different American pressing. And I ended up giving that one away to a friend. I have given 4 copies. I've purchased 4 additional copies and given them away. And I was going to wait to tally up the numbers, but I don't think I will. I personally now own 13 vinyl copies of this, all different pressings from all around the world. So that third American pressing that I bought, that I gave away to a friend, when I was there, I saw something I had never seen. I didn't know it existed. Audio Fidelity did a high definition pressing of it, and I thought, oh, I need this. And it's copy number 973, limited edition. You can see back on here, it's got their label on it, not the Atlantic Records. And so it has all the information about who did the mastering, etc., etc. This was from 2009, so I'm sure it's all digitized. And I thought, oh my God, I can't wait to. And I paid a fair sum for it at the time. Listed, it looks like I paid $39 plus tax for an album I had never heard. And I got it home, and I thought, oh, I can't wait to hear this. This is going to be phenomenal, phenomenal. It's crystal clear. But they took the audio and they took the audio, put the music out front of the audience, and the audience noise on here is almost completely neutered. And so it's interesting to listen to, but it's not my favorite pressing. And there is a misprint on here because, it says 180 gram pure virgin vinyl analog pressing. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. With how clean it is, it's hard to say. We know that with the music on vinyl or whatever it was, there was some scandal about that. So side 2, serves you right to suffer, cruising for a love, looking for a love. That is not the case on here. When they pressed it, and I don't think you can see too well, they actually messed up, and cruising for love opened side 2. So the label has what should be the correct order on it, but Audio Fidelity, when they mastered it, switched 2 songs on there. Gives it a whole different feel when you go, originally on side 2, it's slow blues, medium tempo, bang, 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 rocker. And that's not the case on here. It goes from a slow blues to the end. So it's an interesting track listing, but I'm not happy I have it because I'm an obsessive collector and I'm nuts. But it's not it's not that fantastic as far as a live listening experience. It sounds like great studio record with polite applause behind. Um, so anywho, then I'm pretty sure this one came next. I have a Japanese copy, and you can see the yen for how much it originally went for. This was a '70s pressing, and most of these are '70s pressings. So I have a copy from Japan. And I tried real hard to remember the order I got them in, but hard to say. Germany, Greece, I have a Greek copy. And it says down here made. You can't really see it, but it says made in Greece on there. Um, I have an Israeli copy. This is not found on Discogs. I stumbled across this on eBay. So yeah, I guess I did too. And it says manufactured and distributed CBS Records. So even it has the Atlantic sticker on it. But it does say on here, and it does say on here, made in Israel. And so this is kind of an interesting pressing to know whether it's sort of dubiously legal or not. Somebody's on the other side of the basement. So then there's a French copy, a New Zealand copy from Marbeck's record store. So if anybody from down under happens to know where that is, that would be fantastic. An Australian pressing, Canadian pressing that my dear friend Rob sent me as part of a Christmas package a couple of years ago. This one was very elusive. The music on vinyl pressing, it's a very similar sound to the audio fidelity, but they got the track listing right. I ended up getting this from Dunedin, New Zealand. I can't remember. Um, I searched the internet for a couple years trying to find this copy, and again, it's very similar in the sense that it sounds like a very well recorded studio record with polite applause behind. And so then the most recent, and this is on Continental. It says Continental Records. I have a Brazilian pressing, so I have a South American pressing. You can kind of see the label under there. So that's an awful lot of copies for one record, right? But like I say, it's my favorite record of all time, and so not just my favorite live record, but probably my favorite record of all time. And so if I was to go, you talk Desert Island discs, or you can only listen to one for the rest of your life, that's it. And it's really because it got me through originally through the pandemic. At that time, my grandpa died too in April of 2020, and it's just a happy sounding record. It's fun. It's energetic. Um, the band was in peak form. They would never sound this good again. None of the studio records, as far as I'm concerned, can touch it. Blow Your Face Out Live came out in '76. It was recorded at Cobo Hall in Boston Gardens. It's a double live record with 17 songs, and the review I read of it was it's twice as long and half as interesting. I don't know if that's a fair statement, because there are some really great musical moments on there. However, it's I should have grabbed it to show you, but I'm already sitting here and we're already at the 25-minute mark. Um, it's it has some great moments, but the energy wasn't there. It wasn't caught the same way. And then their final record was recorded at Pine Knob Amphitheater, Pine Knob Music Theater, which is a fantastic outdoor shed in Clarkston, Michigan, which is just north of Detroit. Cobo Hall was right down on the river. It doesn't exist anymore. You probably have heard of Cobo Hall because a major part of Kiss Alive was recorded there. I had a friend who saw Jay Giles' band in 77 or 78 at Pine Knob, and he said it was just 2 hours of pure raw energy. And that brings me to another point here. It's probably lost to the sands of time. It makes me curious if Audio Fidelity in 2009 could get a hold of tapes and supposedly do an analog reproduction. The tapes couldn't have run for just 8 songs over 2 nights. Uh, there have to be there has to be more. There have to be more tapes. There have to be more songs available. And I have been lobbying online for this for years. I've called out the living band members, tried to get their attention online. They don't care, I'm sure, about me. They got their money, they got their retirement nest and whatever. Um, but to get, I wouldn't mess with the perfection that is the original 8 songs. It would be fantastic, if not vinyl, at least on CD, to get a box set with both nights. Sort of like Motorhead did with No Sleep Till Hammersmith. It was recorded over 3 nights. The vinyl LP remaster had the original, and then one of the shows. The CD box set actually has the entire 3-show run, and so you can hear what song came from what show, and it's really cool. Peter Wolf, Jay Giles has left us. Peter Wolf is still out performing. I think Magic Dick is still performing occasionally. You guys, if those tapes exist, or if anybody can get a hold of Audio Fidelity, if those tapes exist, my God, to hear the entire shows, even if they don't get, slick mastering, if it just sounds like the original, that would be amazing. So, anywho, it got me through COVID, it got me through hard times, got me through really the last 4 years. Many nights I will start with side A of this, with one pressing, and end with side B of a different pressing when I do my Friday Night Live. And, I figure out a way to start and end at 13311 East Jefferson Avenue, and I'm 90% sure that's the address. That's the one I've seen the most when I've looked it up. There was at least one other one, but I haven't seen that one crop up as much, and I don't remember it. So, anyway, I've gone on for a long time about this record, and I'm sorry, and for those who watched the entire thing, thank you for sticking with me. This is a 10 out of 10 record. This is my favorite album of all time, my favorite live album of all time. So do yourselves a favor. If you've got a copy, spin it. If you don't have a copy, find one. If you don't have a record player, get a CD. Stream it, but stream it through a stereo. Stream it through, where you can hear it properly. Crank it, listen to it live. Give this album some love. And if all you ever know of the Jay Giles Band was the late 70s and early 80s stuff, forget whatever you think you know. And the pure rhythm and blues driven rock and roll that is found here is going to change the entire way you hear the band. So that's it for now. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Take care of yourselves, everybody. Oh, and as I always say, please comment below. Keep it respectful. I have had to delete some trolls, people who are just rude for the sake of being stupid. I love interacting with comments, even when I disagree with them, as long as it's done respectfully. So thank you guys. Hit the like button, share it, tell a friend, tell an enemy. Take care of yourselves.